Okay. Hi, we're having some technical difficulty. Can't say it. We're having some technical difficulties. It's not letting Tracy into the room. So I thought while she tries to get on for the next couple of minutes, do you want to ask some questions about ultra running? And we can just see if it lets Tracy in a minute. So how is everyone? And I hope people can hear me because I don't know yet. Right. Current viewers.
Oh.
I think Trace might actually be able to get in a minute. I'm sorry about this, guys, as well. So has anyone got any questions why Tracy tries to get into the room? Good evening. Hi, Colin. Good evening as well. I don't think Tracy's ever used Zoom before or just once in lockdown, so that's why she's having some trouble. Because she's got an iPhone, it's not letting her in for some reason. So I feel really bad actually. Like I've let people down a bit, but obviously it's technology. It's always going to be a bit glitchy. She's going to try the link again. If it doesn't work, we'll just have to leave it there and we'll have to do it some other time. I am thinking about doing a live with Time on Feet, who is another runner who does ultras. I think he's mainly into the 50-mile range. What isn't really, I would say, my range. I'd rather do longer, more to like over 50, like 80 miles to 100, as I feel like I do a lot better at that distance, as I still feel like I'm quite slow at 50. Right, we'll give Tracy one more minute. If anyone's got any questions, feel free to... Oh. Right, okay. Right, we're sorted. Hopefully it'll connect to audio. Tracy, if you can hear me, you're already live. So, yeah. Okay. Zoom user. So, let's see. You should be able to turn your camera on after start video. Okay. Is your audio on, Tracy? You are live now. People are watching. What's make host after start video. There should be a button at bottom what says audio. It's like a little microphone, so if you click on your screen, that should be there. Connecting to audio. I think you've got it. Hello, Tracy. Can I hear you? Oh, connecting to audio. Yeah, it says
There you go.
Right, okay. So we are live already, Tracy. I've explained we've had technical issues. It is very temperamental Zoom, to be honest. So, right. So here we have Tracy Anne, and she is an ambassador of GBULTRA. You've done quite a few ultras. So, Tracy, tell us about yourself and your background, like your job, other hobbies, and then we'll go into running after that. So just tell us about you and yourself and all that good stuff.
Yeah, okay. So I'm 52. I'm sporty. I like cycling. I do some pole dancing to support, as you do as well.
Yeah.
I've done a bit of dancing. Tried it anyway. You get a lot of bruises from it. And I work for Iris, so I'm in customer relations. I've worked for them for about a year. Absolutely love the role. And I'm an ambassador for GBULTRAs, and I do some work for them promoting some of the races as well. I do some of the pages. So I run Pennine Barrier and Manchester to Liverpool. So yeah.
So how did you get into running yourself? Is it something you've always done?
I've always been sporty. I did do it when I was younger, but I didn't take it very seriously. I used to do a lot on treadmills when I used to go to the gym, just keeping fit and stuff. And then probably about 15 years ago, sadly my dad passed away quite a while ago, and I decided to just do some charity work. So I signed up for a 10K and did some fundraising for he died of a stroke. So I did a fundraiser for that. So I signed up for the Warrington EHM 10K. So that was my first race.
Right. So what was your first ultra? Did you just say that? Sorry, I was looking at something on the screen.
No, it's okay.
Okay, so what was your first ultra, or how did you get to ultras? Because obviously it's a further distance. It's not something for everyone.
Yeah, so when I did the 10K after I finished in the same race, there was two. It was split into two races. So there was the English half marathon, and I remember coming in across the finish line, and I was absolutely buzzing because it was my first race, and I was thinking, how does anybody run 13 miles? Because I was exhausted. I'd trained only up to a 10K. So after that, I was like, right, that's it. I'm signing up for a half marathon. So then I started to push myself. I trained on my own. I used to go out pretty much every day, but I do a longer run at a weekend. And I actually ran a half marathon on my own before I actually did the race. So I brought tears, to be honest, because I just didn't think I could do it. So I pushed myself and pushed myself. So I did that. So the next step up from that is let's do a marathon. And I was in an hour, and how on earth can anybody run 26 miles? So I signed up for the Manchester Marathon. Again, I did it for charity. I think I did it for cancer research. I think my mum had fallen ill with cancer, so I thought I'd raise some money. Trained for that. I was very ill on the day when I ran it. I had a very bad cold. Everything that could have gone wrong in that race went wrong. However, I did manage to finish it. And then from then, it was like someone mentioned ultras, and I was like, what's an ultra? What's an ultra? And it's like anything above 26.2 miles. So I was like, oh gosh, how do you train for that? So for about 12 months after that, I was like, do I do it or not? Do I do it? And I thought I've seen some of the, it was when the M2L was running. I live near the Transpennine Trail, near the ferry pub. So I do a lot of my training down there. And I've seen all these runners coming down and they were doing the M2L. So I had it in the back of my head. I thought, I'm going to sign for that. I'm going to try and do it the year after. Anyway, unfortunately, I ended up getting divorced and I didn't follow through. So I sort of put it to the back of my head and thought, I'll go back. I'll revisit it maybe next year. But in the meanwhile, someone said, well, have you never done Warrington Way? And I was like, well, I haven't even heard of Warrington Way. So again, I sort of put myself on the waiting list, and I thought I'd got a place. Anyway, when I checked my bank statement, it hadn't gone through, so I sort of put that back to the back of my head. And then 3 weeks before, one of my Warrington Running Club buddies had a place, and he said, you can have it. I was like, I haven't trained for it. I don't know what the kit is. I haven't recce'd it. And they were just like, just go and do it. You'll be fine. There's a group if you're going to run it. So literally, that is what I did. I turned up with the wrong kit. I didn't put my watch on. I was running with a group. I did complete it, and I absolutely loved it. And from then on, I was like hooked on ultras from road running. And then I went and signed for GBULTRAs and M2L. And then that's when I did my first 50 miler. So it kind of sort of stemmed from there then. I kind of went from a 50 miler to, I did Chester 100 miler, which I think in total it was 108. I got silver on that. Loved that race. I think it was absolutely brilliant. And yeah, that's how it stemmed really. I've done a few on my own. I do the Christmas Day ultra marathon, which is my own. I've done it this is the third year running. The first year I did it in lockdown. I wanted to do something nice for children in hospital for Christmas. So I ran 35 miles on my own on Christmas Day. I got up at 5 o'clock. And then last year I ran 50k. Again, I got up even earlier last year. I think I got up about 3:30. And started it. And then this year, it's a bit injury dependent this year, like to see how I feel with my injury, because I've been injured this year. So I have just done Warrington Way again, and it seems okay. It's going in the right direction, but I'm not going to put myself under too much pressure. But hopefully, again, I'll be doing 50k on Christmas Day.
So that's really good. I couldn't run an ultra if it wasn't like organized. I feel like my mind would just go. I find it very hard to even run a marathon if it's not like an organized marathon. I'm okay running. I can do like loads of running. Like today I'm going to run twice in 2 bits. So I'll probably do like 12, 15 miles. But
Yeah.
as soon as it's on my own, I get a bit like, do I need to do this? And I'm like, yes, you do. You
Yeah.
need to do this training. So how do you train? Like, what's your training schedule like? Do you fit it around work, or do you have like a set thing?
Gosh, I wish you'd laugh if I told you. So I train most days. I think my training, I do running, I do cycling, and I do gym. And I was doing pole dancing. However, with my injury, I've not really gone back to that yet. So I'm quite lucky because I work from home. As you can probably see now, I've got my training kit in and I'm actually sat in my office working. So I usually get up before work, do a run, come into work, they'll let me sit in my training gear, and then I'll go to the gym on my dinner and then go cycling after work. Or depending on weather, I'll swap it around. I'll do the cycle in the morning, gym on my dinner and stuff. So yeah, it's hard because obviously I'm doing 2 jobs at the moment. Last year I didn't have a car. So I was working for another company and I used to run. So I was doing 13 miles a day. So it was 5.5 miles running to work. I'd go into work again because it was in like a warehouse. They'd let me sit in my running stuff. I'd go out on my dinner. I'd do 2 miles of hill reps, and then I'd run back home. So in total, I was running sort of half a marathon a day split. So I used to do that every day. Yeah, so that was quite good, and I quite liked it because it sort of fit around work and stuff. So yeah, I just jiggle it about a bit. But yeah, but with my injury this year, I've had to sort of slow down a little bit. I think last year I ran in total, well, it was over 4,000 miles. So I did a bit of a milestone because we had a big race last year that I did, race across the Alps where I came. I think it was overall 8th, and I got second lady and got silver. So that I did, I think it was I think I've got it written down, 1,592 miles in 78 days. So that gave me a good head start for the year. So once I'd got that quite early on, I pushed myself then to try and get 4,000 miles for the year. So I did do that.
That's absolutely amazing. I want to get 2,000 this year. I might have got it actually because I don't record everything on Strava. So I just kind of use Strava as indication. I'm about 1,300, I think. So I'm obviously a lot further than that, but how much further, I don't know. So you're quite like me because obviously I have a pole dancing studio. So like on Wednesdays I teach at 12:30. I do like some flexibility contortion training. Then I'll go for a run. Then I'll teach some more classes. Then I'll go for a run. And then I'll have my tea at like 11 o'clock at night because it's the only way to fit it in. And it's like, it's really good for us because it gives us like space to like train as much as we can. But then it's like really unstructured to a point because like you can kind of just mess around, and then sometimes I get very like, well, I'll do this at this time and I'll do this at this time, and then it gets like pushed around and then you don't get to do something. Do you find that because it's so like variable?
I
you
have
don't have to be so structured.
Yeah, I have to fit it around work. Sometimes things get in the way, but I do make sure I train most days. But with my injury this year, I've had to sort of like knock it back a little bit. It's like I say, I went to see my consultant this morning. They're doing another MRI on it in a couple of weeks, but he's very happy with my progress. He's just keep doing what I'm doing. It's not a quick fix because it's been my tendon, but hopefully now it's coming through the other side.
Okay, can you tell us, I didn't actually realise you was injured, but can you tell us a bit about your injury and what recovery is like for you, and like how that's changed your routine?
Well, yeah. So I'm usually quite lucky. I don't really injure, but last year I did Pendle Way in a day, and I fell quite early on in the race. To be fair, it was my own fault. I hadn't trained for that race. I got given a place last minute. The weather was horrific. It was like 50-mile winds. It was everything was against us, and I slipped on at the first bit. I managed to do 20 miles, and I did my first DNF. I thought I can't carry on the pain and stuff. So then after that, I was still running a little bit, thinking it wasn't an injury. But then I was like, no, there's something wrong here. Went to a few physios and consultants, but nobody really was giving me any answers. So anyway, M2L was coming up. I'd signed to do that, and I was like, do we run it or don't run it? So anyway, I went to my doctors, and they I pushed to have an MRI. I said, look, I can't carry on like this. I said, my mental health is, because I'm not physically doing anything. I need to know what I'm treating. Anyway, she did. She put me in for an MRI, but the results didn't come through till after M2L. So it was like, do it or don't. But anyway, I did do it. I hobbled around. I did it. It wasn't a great run. It was, I was a lot slower than I normally was. And then I got my results, and there was about 5 things going wrong, because an MRI will bring everything up, anything that's going on. So I had plantar fasciitis, which I've had previous, but I think it's sort of still there. I've got a heel spur from the plantar. I've got tibia tendonitis, which is the main cause, really. It's on the inside. It's the tendon that's pulled. And there was something else again. I think I've got arthritis in my big toe. But luckily, a company that I'm employed with have given me medical private insurance. So when I got my results, I rang them, and I went private, basically, and I went and see a consultant, and he's been treating me now. I've had shockwave therapy on my tendon, which has helped it. It didn't cure it, but like my consultant said, what you've got isn't just a quick fix. But I would give any advice to the one thing I wasn't concentrating on once I was diagnosed, hold the hands up, was stretching. And that, since I've focused on that the last 4 months, the injury's gone so much better. So working the area, stretching it. I have a rubber band. I'm doing it because I work from home. I'm going up and down the stairs, stretching it five times a day, doing 10 reps and stuff. So that has helped it so much. So any of you that got injuries, concentrate on your stretching. If you've been advised to do that. I was guilty. I didn't. I was just hoping someone to put something on it and I'd go, but it didn't. So it was mentally. It's been quite hard. The injury came just as I became an ambassador, so I found that really hard. I was chomping at the bit to get on some of the races and stuff. However, on the flip side of it, it was nice to support other runners and be on the other side of it, and share my experience of ultras. And I volunteered at Chester as I was on to do Chester 50, and I couldn't do it. But volunteering really helped me. I didn't think it would. I was like, I'm going to get FOMO. I'm going to be upset. But I absolutely come away and I absolutely loved it. It really helped me to get through the injury. So anybody who's out there, there's another side to a race, go out there and volunteer and support people.
Woody said that as well. He said he thought he'd get FOMO, but then he said he volunteered and really loved every experience there.
It's lovely to share your experience and to just push people on, and give you support, and just to see it from the other side, a race and what goes on, and what how the people are when they're coming through and stuff. So yeah, 100%. That was a big turning point for me. I thought I absolutely love that. I made the right decision doing it.
So is there any bits of kit or anything what you use or swear by, or any training techniques?
Well, I swear by New Balance. I've tried several trainers and nothing seemed to suit my feet apart from New Balance. I've got about 25 pairs. I love the old ones, the New Balance 1080 V8. Can't get them anywhere. So it's everywhere. And if anybody who's listening to this knows where I can get me a pair in a 6.5 in a D-fit, shout up. But I can't get them anywhere. So I've had to go to the newer versions, but I prefer the older version. New Balance. I've just bought a new Gore-Tex Ron Hill jacket, which is absolutely fabulous. It's windproof, waterproof. I think after Pendle Hill, because I jumped on that race last minute, I really wasn't prepared for I hadn't wrecked the race. I hadn't done much hill training, but also it was that bad, the weather. Everything that I had on took me out of the race because I was absolutely shaking. My coat, everything had soaked. So even though it was waterproof, it just wasn't great. My gloves, I didn't actually take my hands out my gloves or go into my my race vest. I didn't have any water or anything to eat for 20 miles because it was that cold. So yeah, that's a good piece of, that's a good jacket if you're doing any winter ultras and stuff like that. Just bought that. What else do we use? The rest of it, I'm just normally living in GBULTRA kit.
So is what do you do with your speed training and stuff? Because this is something very new to me. And I bet a lot of people don't do speed training, because I only started running 4 or 5 years ago. So I've gone from not even doing 5K to doing like ultras. So I've only just started doing like hill training, speed training. Obviously, the only thing I actually do is the stretching part because of my job. So
Yeah, I go on for speed and more for distance, so I tend to not do a lot of speed work. However, every now and then I will do some interval training and I will do some hill reps. I have been told to lay off it now, just at the moment while I'm coming out of injury. They just want to sort of get me back running and keeping everything as it is. So in the new year, I'm going to be working on that again and getting my coaching plan together and my race plan really. I want to do quite a few races. I'm not going to do anything too technical. I'm happy that I'm running again, and that's for me the main thing. I just like to run all the time, so I don't want to risk any more injuries by doing anything stupid. But my race plan for next year would be I want to start off with Chester 50. I have got Pendle Way, a place for that again, to revisit it because of DNF, so it's a bit of an unfinished business, that one. But I might drop down to the 30 on that instead of doing the 45, I think it is. Then M2L, and then maybe work towards doing Chester 100. And I may finish on that. I'm not going to retire, but that'll be my last 100 if I feel that I'm all right, and I'll just probably stick to 50s and wherever then. So that's my plan, but we'll see. We'll have to see how the injury is.
have you got any advice on like nutrition? What nutrition do you use, or like any like recovery techniques as well?
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, I've changed my diet. I've gone to high protein. I don't think I was eating enough protein. Being a girl, we're always on diets and want to watch our weight. However, I've been speaking to someone that I speak to quite a lot, who's a very good runner, advised me to swap, and the difference that it's made is massive. And I'm actually enjoying the diet. I'm actually enjoying the food. Actually, I'm feeling full all the time, and I can feel the difference in my muscles and my training and stuff. So definitely high protein. Make sure you're getting enough protein so your muscles grow and recover and things like that. What was the other question? Sorry.
Do you have any like recovery techniques like for after races, or just any rituals or anything?
No, I just usually have a good. Obviously, the first day when I came in after when I did Warrington Way, it was a good long soak in the bath, Epsom salts, glass of wine. I have my ice packs on my knees, and then sort of the day after. Just stretching out, really. I think you need to make sure you're stretching out. I went for just like a little power walk just to keep everything going. I have done in the past when I've gone for a little run, but I wouldn't advise that. I would just make sure you do your stretches and just do a little power walk just to keep things moving and going and stuff. But I could do, that's what I need to do. I need to get more into stretching. I need to do a lot more, maybe all around the body. I do a lot on my legs. I do foam rolling. Foam rolling is a good one as well. I've got a gun massager. I'm not overly fond on that, but I do sometimes use it. But I use the foam roller. I've got one of those.
Yeah, I just want to point out here, just cause I have got 2 friends who have actually injured themselves from the massage gun. So just be careful if you do use that. I don't know how high the risk is.
To top athletes don't really use it, so I know I might sell it. I'm not a fan of it myself. I'd rather foam roll. I think you get more out of foam rolling.
Right, okay. I'm trying to think of questions. I have got a question off someone saying, right, it was written on a thing of this on my post. How did you get into thinking, what tips have you got for just ultra running? And have you got any information about eating solid food when you really struggle?
So, what information have we got ultra running? I would say if you're signing for your first ultra, it's important that you've got the right kit. Make sure you've got the right kit, the right trainers, the right bag. Anything that chaffs or anything like that is no good. You also need to, if you've signed for an ultra, I'd advise you to go on the recce's, learn the route. I made that mistake by getting given a place in Pendle Way, thinking, I've got a lot of knowledge about ultras, but when I got there, just hadn't trained for it, and I got a DNF. Absolutely say recce the race, try to learn the routes, watches, if you can get anything with maps on, that can help you. I used to go out when I got my first, I'm not very technical, but I have got a watch with maps on, but I was like, oh god, how do I use it? I'm just that and the other, and then I just kept going out and just doing like half marathons and marathons. I was just putting like races on my watch, just so I could get the feel of using it and stuff, and feeling confident with it. Sorry, what was the other question? And what else?
Have you got any tips on eating solid food?
So me personally, when I first started, I was eating lots of sugary stuff, which really doesn't sit well on me anymore. I tend to have, if I start in the morning, I'll have a bit of a protein shake. And then when I did the last ultra, I didn't overeat. I just had a sandwich halfway through. I was starving, and then I had a sandwich, and I found it settled a lot better. But I do like things like salted potatoes, anything that's quite plain, cheese. Sometimes I'll have an odd gel, but not too many because they make me feel a little bit sickly. But and flat Coke. I love flat Coke. That seems to work for me. I'm not really a fan, for me personally, of Tailwind or anything like that. It just doesn't settle on my stomach. I try to keep it very plain. But yeah, that's trial and error. I mean, what I did on a lot of it, especially when it was all in lockdown, I ran 100-miler on my own for one of the virtual races, and I used my house as a checkpoint. So I kept put my bag on, did a virtual race, blah blah blah, and then I just put my own foods out. And I put a lot of sugary stuff out, a lot of potatoes, and I could pick up what I want really. We'll go back in, but I found all I was going back to when I got to a really high distance was the potatoes. You know, something very 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 simple, but they're giving me carbs and energy and things like that. Yeah.
I found that when I did Leeds to Liverpool, I found that I feel like we look at all these like videos and stuff and like brands and advertisements, and you think you need all these gels, and like I love Tailwind, but I was just eating potatoes in the end, and I was like, the cheap tinned potatoes, and I was like, these are the best thing, and were like the cheapest thing, and I couldn't believe it at all.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think you've just got to try what settles on you. I mean, not, what's for you is not necessarily for me, but I know when I eat too much sugar, it just makes me feel, I don't know, sickly. It's very sickly. It's too much. So less time on, because I hadn't really trained for it in some way. It was one of them, will I do it or not, because of the injury. I started off with a shake. I think a little bit of a sweet after 10 miles, and then all of a sudden I just got a hunger pang, and I thought, oh god, I'm absolutely starving, and I just had a sandwich and I was fine, and I had some flat Coke as well, and I was fine. Then I just went on my way, and everything settled quite nice for me, so I didn't overeat on that one. But like I say, everybody's different. Some people, depends how fast you go, how many stops you have and stuff like that.
Warrington Way is actually an amazing race for anyone. Like I did it as like I don't have to. I feel like it's a very good race if you're not very well trained, or for your first ultra, just because it's very well mapped, like really well mapped, but the checkpoints are quite good and everyone's quite friendly. It's not, you don't get many like really elite runners or like anything, so everyone's kind of a bit like more relaxed and chilled and just for a day out.
Yeah, how many times have you done
it? Twice, I think now.
The last 2 years, did you do it last year as well?
Yeah, I did it last year.
You've had 2 good years doing that. The years before that, it's been up to here in mud.
All right, okay.
It's been a very different race. It's with people that have done it are maybe listening. The fields are a lot better. It's not very boggy. They're not very. They must have rested the fields, but the course was a lot better, a lot drier, and nowhere near as muddy. Oh God, there's some years I've done it, and it's literally been up to your knees.
Well, the first time I did it, there was like a puddle, and it was up to like your waist, and I literally was so excited for this puddle, and it dried up, and I was like so disappointed. I was like, I just wanted to run through this puddle, and like it just wasn't there anymore.
Well, like one of the years I did it, I was hitting the night section, well, the last section quite late on, and I got in the spud field, and it was absolutely thick with mud, and I hadn't wore trail. I like road shoes, but I wore these old road shoes that were really not tied to my feet. Well, I was stuck in the spud field. I thought I was going to die there. I couldn't get my trainers as I was lifting them out. I probably was just stuck, and I literally had to take them off and run barefoot because they would not come out of the mud. So since then, I've never worn my road in there. I wore like that, or I put gaiters over them and stuff to make sure they don't come off. But yeah, I thought I was going to die out there. So yeah, I didn't know. I just ran
this year, this year, did you see that guy with the gun?
No.
I was
No.
running through a field and there was just this massive guy, well, not massive guy, a guy with this massive gun. And I was just like, is he holding a gun? And
Hunter.
quite a few people, I think he was just a farmer just walking around his field watching the runners. But I
There
was
is.
like, so tempted to be like, can I have a picture with your gun? And then I was like, no, you'll kill yourself. You'll actually shoot someone or something. Or
Yeah,
shoot yourself.
it's one of
Um,
the race, that one. I like that one.
yeah, it's a really good race. Has anyone got any questions for Tracy before we wrap this up? Because I think we've like covered quite everything. Have you got any goals or anything for the future? Or is there anything you would like to do? Not necessarily running, it could be like anything.
Ooh, well, I would like I said, I would like to do the 100 again. Goals. I want to continue fundraising on Christmas Day. I really like doing that. I get a lot of pleasure out of giving up on Christmas Day, and I didn't just do it in lockdown when everybody couldn't do anything. I've continued to do it, and I've had some great support. It's been on TV, it's been on the local newspapers. It went national, it went on Granada Reports and everything. So I'm just hoping I can get some more support, from that really, and I like that. I'd like it to grow, to see what I could do. But yeah, other than that, I've become an ambassador, so that's a great achievement. That's something I'm really proud of. So just to continue what I'm doing, really. I'm sure something will come pop in my head at some point. If anybody needs any help, feel free to drop me a message, or if I can help, I'll support you in any way. I'll always listen to anybody's messages.
And to finish it up, this is a new section I'm going to add to like these little interviews, live things. Have you got a funny story about any of your ultras or just running in general?
Well, I probably have. Probably the Spudfield one, was it, really? Because I really thought my mate just went on. She skipped through because she had trainers on, and I was just in the dark. So there was nobody around me. And it's only because one of the really good athletes, is one of my very good friends, Charlie Sharp, sent me a video when he was training. And he'd sent me a video of him pouring mud out of his shoe and literally going through the field, one shoe on and one shoe off. And I thought, I can't get out this field. I cannot, literally. My trainers will not stand my feet. I thought, what am I going to do? And it's only because I saw the video and I remembered it, and I thought, I am going to have to take shoes off to get across this field. And that's exactly what I did. And I had to run across the whole field, pitch black, couldn't see anybody, didn't know what I was standing on. Mud was up to my knees to get across it. Or I'd still been there now. So that's probably, it probably is all this, but I think that's the one that sticks out in my head.
I know exactly what potato field you're on about,
Yeah,
because the first year I did it.
Is it what, sorry?
I know what potato field you're on about, because the first year I did that race, I got to that field and stole the potato from a tea. Because I just wanted a potato, and all my friends were like, you're actually going to carry a potato to the finish? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I want a potato, what I got from a race. And then my dad ended up eating it anyway. So I was well peed off. But that field is ridiculously muddy because that was just after it.
Yeah. I took a few wrong turns on ultras where it's added a couple of miles on. I can't think of anything else, to be fair. They've all got only like the DNF. I didn't mean, that's not a good funny story, but that I was a bit disheartened with that one. But I've only got myself to blame for that. I didn't put the right training in, and I didn't recce it. So I would say to anybody, my advice is don't jump on races unless if you don't know the course, you're a bit thingy. Make sure you recce them if you don't want to DNF. But don't be ashamed of DNFs. There's nothing, if you need to pull out the race, lead by example. And if you're feeling a niggle or anything, I would always say, don't run in it. Don't be injured, because I hate being injured, and it's not a good feeling, and you could do permanent damage as well. So, there's no shame in DNFing either.
Yeah, because I pulled out of Chester 50, I pulled out. I've only ever done that, and I DNF'd it. And that is because at mile 1, my knees started hurting. And by mile 2, I was absolutely in pain. Yeah. So I did 10 miles, and even Wayne was like, I'm so glad you pulled out, but I couldn't tell you to pull out. And I was like, I just knew that I could go through the full race in pain, and I probably could have. And then I thought, what are you going to be like next week? And it took me a while to realise it was just the shoes I were wearing was a bit worn. but it took a bit to get back to normal, actually, even that.
Yeah. Well, like I was doing again, it was when lockdown was on and there was a lot of virtuals. I tried can I say ultra? Is it ultra? The zero drop, and I tried running in them, and I got to 40 miles, and it was like 100 and odd miles that this one was, and I could just like my knees swollen up, and they're just not for me. Them, so everything. Don't go out in in a race with the new pair of trainers. Also, try them and make sure that they're right for you. That's why I always stick to New Balance, because I know they never let me down.
Can I ask you something? Because I'm a massive fan of New Balance.
Yeah.
What price range do you usually go for?
Well, to be fair, there's a New Balance outlet shop in Birchwood in Warrington where I've always gone to, and I've never really bought the top dollar trainers. I've always bought the ones that I wear, which I said was the 1080s VH, which were probably about 60 quid. I used to buy a few pairs of them, but I loved them. They stopped them now, and they've shot up the prices to £100 and 130 different versions. But I just don't feel, even though they're comfy, they don't last as long. They're toe bit. My toe goes through there. I know you can get the stuff to protect it, but it never used to in the version 8. They were more, I don't know, they were just better around the front. But I'd probably say now probably about £100, £110. But I have to change them quite often. So I bought the trail ones with the vibrant soles in New Balance. Quite like them. They're really nice. They're good to run in. So I've got quite a few pairs, but yeah, definitely New Balance for me, 100%.
Yeah, because I get New Balance, but I tend to get the cheapest because I got some Hoka's Speedgoat, and like the expensive shoes, like 150, like what's really expensive for me because I'm a cheapskate. So they give me bad knees. So since that day, I've just stuck to the cheapest trainers, and they've never done anything wrong. So I think it just proves that sometimes kit's just generally made for you rather than getting what's so-called good.
Did you get it done? So do you know what you're buying, whether you're buying neutral or...
I have to buy a stability shoe, like quite a firm one. If I get anything what's like cushioned, it just doesn't really mix with me.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I need cushion. I need neutral but cushion. So anything else doesn't, like the cheap, not the cheaper ones. But I have bought another pair of New Balance, and oh gosh, I couldn't wear them. I just did a quick run in them, and I was like, no, I can't do that. No. So it's just what works for you. You just need to, try things and make sure they feel right, because at the end of the day, that is your training, and that's what you're going to be running in. They're like your tires, your Pirellis for your feet.
Also, someone asked a question on the GBULTRA group.
Yeah.
How do you stay so pretty? Because you are actually stunning when you're doing ultras, and I just don't understand it, because you do wear makeup, and I'm like, how's this makeup not just like roll down your face?
I don't know. A few people have asked me that. I used to wear a bit of makeup when I first used to do it, but I've stopped wearing so much now. But it does seem to stay on. I don't know. I always make sure that I've got a lipstick in my mandatory kit for my photo with me. It needs to be in the mandatory kit, check.
Right, so I think we've answered quite a lot of questions there. If anyone's got anything you would like to ask Tracy, you can put it in your comments and Tracy can come back, because I'll send you a link. Also, Tracy is, as she has said, running Ultra on Christmas Day, but I will put a charity link in the description if anyone wants to donate.
Thank you, that's nice, thank you.
So thanks for anyone who's come. If you've not subscribed, subscribe to the channel, and I need to learn how to talk. And thanks for coming. And can everyone put a thank you to Tracy in the comments to thank her for coming as well and taking some time out of the day. And we will end it there. Just stay online, Tracy, and I'll speak to you in a minute after I've gone offline. Right.